Imagine a life filled with adventure and the constant thrill of danger. Johnny Strange not only lived that life, but embraced it to the fullest. He was a true explorer, soaring through the skies and conquering the world's highest mountains. But in the exhilarating world of extreme sports, danger is always lurking. Johnny was a boundary pusher, constantly chasing the ultimate adrenaline rush. Little did he know that in those heart-stopping last minutes, the skies and mountains he loved suddenly became unforgiving. Join us as we dive into Johnny Strange's extraordinary life and uncover his terrifying last minutes. Johnny Strange was born on December 26, 1991 in Malibu, California, and it was clear from the start that adventure was in his blood. His parents were avid participants in adventure races, embracing everything from hiking and climbing to rappelling and kayaking. It was a family fueled by a deep passion for the great outdoors, and naturally, Johnny and his two sisters eagerly embraced this adventurous legacy. Johnny's own journey into the world of adventure began at a young age. When he was just 4 years old, he confidently told his father that he could fly. And in an impulsive moment of youthful curiosity, little Johnny jumped off the back of a couch and the audacious flight ended with a bump to his head, requiring a trip to the hospital. This adventurous start hinted at the brave attitude that would define his life. When Johnny was 12, his father was preparing for a challenging climbing expedition to the icy expanse of Antarctica. Climbing equipment was scattered all around their living room as preparations were underway. Young Johnny expressed his desire to join the expedition, even though his father was well aware that Johnny might not make it to the summit, and that might mean he would not either. However, he could not give up the unique opportunity to take his 12-year-old boy to Antarctica. And just a few weeks later, Johnny fearlessly climbed Mount Vinson, defying bone-chilling temperatures plummeting as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit. He became the youngest person ever to reach the summit, a record that still stands to this day. After Johnny discovered mountain climbing, he and his dad took on a special challenge to conquer the 7 summits, the highest mountains on each continent. They even climbed one of the mountains, Aconcagua in Argentina, twice. They went down and then went right back up after addressing some frostbite issues along the way. Their big adventure reached its peak on Mount Everest, where they spent 2 months getting ready for the tough conditions. Their hard work paid off when, on May 22, 2009, Johnny and his dad made it to the top together. 17-year-old Johnny etched his name in history as the youngest person to complete the 7 summits at that time. It was a truly remarkable achievement. Not stopping there, Johnny set his sights on an even more ambitious goal, known as the Explorer's Grand Slam, also referred to as the Adventurer's Grand Slam. This extraordinary quest involves climbing the 7 summits and reaching the North and South Poles. In his second year at USC, Johnny finally completed the final leg of the Explorer's Grand Slam by skydiving from 8,000 feet onto the North Pole. This remarkable achievement made him one of the youngest individuals to reach the summit of Everest, the South Pole and the North Pole, known as the 3 Poles. By that time, climbing had become more than a hobby or an afternoon pastime for Johnny. It became an outlet for his boundless energy, which often drove his parents crazy when he was younger. Yet, as passionate as he was about climbing, it still wasn't quite fast enough for him. He was always in stretch of speed. In addition to conquering the world's tallest peaks, Johnny delved into big wave surfing, explored the depths as a scuba diver, embraced the thrill of skydiving, ventured into base jumping, and became a dedicated philanthropist. His zest for life knew no bounds. Johnny had always been one to take risks. His sister recalled a story of the day he decided to break the world record for speed on a skateboard. He held onto the back of a truck by one finger and reached 102 miles per hour on the highway, with the skateboard wobbling under his feet from the speed. When the board flew out from under him, Johnny launched himself into the back of the truck to save himself from crashing. That was Johnny, his sister fondly recalls with a smile. Johnny refused to accept for what so many people had already accepted as limits. Whether it was stopping genocide, finding a cure for Parkinson's, skateboarding at 100 miles per hour down Canaan Road, or even attempting to fly like a bird, Johnny's nature drove him to try, to push, to reach beyond what most people saw as boundaries. During his time at USC, Johnny pursued a major in international relations, and when he wasn't studying, he dedicated his free time to two vital causes: putting an end to genocide and discovering a cure for Parkinson's disease. Johnny harnessed his status as a world-famous adventurer to raise awareness for these campaigns. This mirrored his life philosophy of always seeking ways to make a positive impact in as many ways as possible. Johnny was not raised going to church. The mountains were his church, and the presence and the connection of flight were his prayer. If Johnny had a religion, it would be to not accept limits, to refuse to accept injustice as a way of life or disease as inevitable, his father shared. As mentioned before, Johnny had one big dream from an early age. All he wanted was to fly. So, as soon as he turned 18, he left everything behind to move to Las Vegas and learn everything about base jumping and wingsuit flying. In 2012, Johnny took his first wingsuit base jump in Europe, and in 2015, at the age of 23, he started his 6th season of wingsuit base jumping. During an interview that same year, he revealed that 6 years is typically the duration the average base jumper remains active in the sport, either deciding to quit or, tragically, meeting a fatal end. Sadly, Johnny could not have known that he wouldn't survive his own 6th season. Wingsuit base jumping is an extreme sport in which a person glides through the air while wearing a specialized suit, known as a wingsuit. This suit has fabric flaps between the arms and legs, increasing the surface area of the human body and generating lift, allowing for a more extended flight. Wingsuit proximity flying takes this sport to the next level. It involves the same person flying through the air in a wingsuit, but getting remarkably close to objects like trees, mountains, rocks, and other obstacles during their flight. It's a thrilling and daring variation of the sport. Flying was the time Johnny felt most alive, most present, and most connected to the universe. Tragically, fate had a cruel twist in store, and it would be this very activity, wingsuit proximity flying, that would ultimately lead to Johnny's tragic and untimely demise.
When you have a wingsuit on and you're flying next to a mountain, you could fly wherever you want. It feels exactly like that, like you have superpowers. And I want to do it until, I'm 90 years old.
In September 2015, Johnny and his friend Alex Misyuk planned a 2-week adventure, traveling together in Alex's van. Wherever they went, Johnny would set up his tent for the night, while Alex slept in the van. They would pack up in the morning and go hike, climb, and fly. On September 28th, Johnny made a call to the Kevin and Bean radio show on K-Rock, all the way from Switzerland. He enthusiastically shared that they were working on a risky video involving flying very close to objects. In the days that followed, Johnny shared several videos of his jumps in Switzerland on social media, and it seemed like they were having the time of their lives. However, on October 1st, 2015, tragedy struck, bringing their adventure to an abrupt and devastating end. The day they decided to jump off Mount Glitchen near Lake Lucerne in Switzerland, the weather was simply beautiful. There were some clouds in the sky, but there wasn't any wind at the lower altitudes. Weather reports from the day before had also indicated gentle winds of about 1 to 2 kilometers per hour. The journey to the summit, which stood at 8,245 feet, took them around 2.5 hours. Along the way, they paused a couple of times to take some pictures and videos because it was such a beautiful day. They both felt on top of the world, both just so happy and stoked on life and excited for the upcoming jump. When the moment came to base jump off the peak, Johnny was the first to jump, with Alex following close behind. But Alex recalled that as soon as Johnny went off, he could tell his body position was a little off. Johnny was tilted a little bit to the left, and because of that, he seemed to have instinctually opened his wings to try to correct his body position, but there was wind from the right, and it was so strong that it pushed him in the wrong direction, which made him go head first. Alex could see that Johnny was in serious trouble. Johnny attempted to flip onto his stomach and then turn around to fly properly. Alex shared that if Johnny had enough momentum, he might have been able to recover from this situation. However, the way he fell, he remained in a vertical descent for too long before he could regain proper control. By the time he managed to adjust, he needed to turn left to maintain his flight path. It was like trying to navigate through a narrow passage to escape. From a distance, Alex watched everything unfold, still holding on to the hope that Johnny might somehow make it. But just a couple of seconds before impact, Alex came to the devastating realization that Johnny wouldn't survive. After witnessing the tragic event, Alex had to continue flying for another minute and a half before he could safely open his own parachute. During this descent, he couldn't hold back his grief, and he let out heart-wrenching screams all the way to the ground. The harsh reality that his friend was gone was a painful truth he desperately wished to deny. Finally, Alex touched down at their planned landing spot near a restaurant by the lake, just as they had intended. Overwhelmed with sorrow, he collapsed. A concerned man approached him and asked him what happened. Alex shared the devastating news. "My friend is dead on the mountain." Johnny died at the age of 23. He was the 25th base jumper to lose his life while jumping that year. Among the other base jumpers who met the same fate was Dean Potter, a globally renowned climber and adventurer whom Johnny openly admired. After Potter's death in May, Johnny expressed his grief on Instagram, writing, "See you on the other side." Little did anyone know that they would reunite on the other side much sooner than expected. After his tragic passing, his sister shared, "What I realize people don't understand is that Johnny and people like Johnny have a certain hunger for life that is actually unstoppable. Even if we could have taken away his wings and stopped his plane to Switzerland, and even if we could have grounded him forever, he would have found another way to go fast and to push the limits of what anyone thought was physically possible." On October 4th, over 100 people gathered at Zuma Beach for a paddle-out ceremony to pay tribute to Johnny. And in 2017, his ashes were released on the top of Mount Everest. Johnny himself said all the time, "If I'm not allowed to do the things I love, I'm already dead," his sister shared. So even though it was 23 years, it was 23 years where he didn't live a day that wasn't full of adventure. As we conclude this journey through the remarkable life of Johnny Strange, we're reminded of a spirit that refused to accept limits and had a passion for life that knew no bounds. Johnny's unwavering determination to push the boundaries of human potential, from conquering towering peaks to soaring through the skies, serves as an inspiration to many. His legacy lives on through the memories he created and the impact he made on countless lives. Johnny showed us that life is a precious gift meant to be lived to the fullest.